Hello, everybody out there across the airwaves and all of that good stuff. We are back for another Sunday of book club, and we've been reading the Total Money Makeover. This week, we read chapters 8 through 11. Now, the thing about chapter 8, we had baby step 3, which is finish the emergency fund. Point one, a fully funded emergency fund covers 3 to 6 months of expenses. Basically, you never know what life may throw at you. So at this stage, you're supposed to be putting in more money. You already should have a budget. You should decide exactly what money that you need to be able to sustain the family and everything in the event that anything comes up, like the loss of a job, or if you end up sick and you can't work for that period or that time frame. You need to be able to have enough money in the emergency fund to be able to cover that, so you're not worrying, so you're not stressing, so you're not having to go back into the debt that you just got yourself out of. The next point, keep your emergency fund in something liquid. And liquid means that it's easy to get with no penalties. Like whenever you put something in a regular savings account, you're able to take it out. If you put something in, but like if you have it in, like for instance, I have stash. And on my stash, if I try to, like, I had some issues one time where it was like, dang, I need to liquidate everything. And then so I started liquidating everything. But then whenever I got to stash, it was like, well, you got to wait 3 to 5 business days for it to go back to your personal portfolio. Then you got to wait another 3 to 5 business days for it to be able to go to your account. And I'm like, well, dang, just leave the money in there though, because I need this money like today, tomorrow type thing. So it's important to be able to have that money liquid. Of course, don't just use it all willy nilly, but have it where if emergency does occur, you could just go ahead and get it. The next point, the fund is to cover expenses, not replace income. So basically, what that means is that this fund is just supposed to be for emergencies. It's just supposed to be in the event that you need it. It's not supposed to be like, okay, this is my income now. This is what I'm able to sustain off of. No, that's not what it's meant for. It's meant to be in the event of an emergency. Next point, an emergency fund can turn a crisis into an inconvenience. So basically, like if you have something that comes up in life, well, my take on it is if you have something that comes up in life, it's basically like, oh my gosh, like this is so much, and it won't hurt you that bad. Like if you lose your job or your spouse lose your job, if you have a spouse, if you lose your job or something comes up, one of the kids gets sick, if you have kids or something like that, so you're unable to work, then you still have that little cushion. So it's like you're not having to worry, you're not having to stress. You could take your time to be able to get things back in order and get things back the way that you need them to be. Now, baby step 3B is save for a home if you have the itch to before moving on to the next step. So basically, this is saving for a house. We all want to be able to have a home. Some of you guys may already have a home. I don't currently have a home yet, but I'm definitely taking into account all of these things and all of these steps. So that way, whenever I actually start implementing these steps, then I know the correct direction that I need to go and the right things that I need to do. Now, the goal is to aim at 100% down payment, but they say that if you must, you should use, the 15 year fixed term or fixed loan or something like that. It's supposed to be like the 15-year fixed thing. So that way you're not sitting here trying to pay on the home all day and different things like that, because the idea is to minimize all of that stuff. And the takeaway that I got from chapter 8 is that you must set yourself up for success by having an emergency fund that can cover 3 to 6 months of expenses, because you never know what may happen in life, and you want to be sure to have an umbrella if and or when it rains. Now, chapter 9. Chapter 9, the points that I got from there. Point 1, security means choices. You need to reach a point where your money works harder than you do. So that's basically like making the right investments, making the right choices on where you tell your money to go, making the right choices on what you do with your money. You have to invest with the goal of security. So don't just make a willy-nilly investment. Really invest your money in somewhere where you know it's going to be lucrative and it's going to grow your money. The next point, you must invest now if you want to spend your later years in dignity. So basically, you have to start your investment. And once you start investing, then it's going to grow over time, just like anything. Like you start with something small, and as you continue to feed it, as you continue to nurture it, it continues to grow. So eventually, later on down the years, 10 years down the years, like 11 years down the years, then you're going to see, like, oh, wow, this really grew. And you'll be glad that you actually took that initiative to start with that. Now, baby step 4 is invest 15% of your income in retirement. You got to invest 15% of your gross income. That's basically something normally, like whenever I start with a company and I start getting what they call it 401k, I start getting that. I normally go up to the match that the people have, whether it's 5%, 8%, whatever. I normally go up to that. But now seeing that it needs to be 15%, then I'll just have to put an extra cap on it. But it's basically, if you have auto investment, like, then you don't have to worry about it. You can go ahead and factor it in with your bills, or just factor your bills and your budget with already knowing that that money is going to be going wherever it's supposed to be going to. Now, it is your job to take care of you and yours. So part of the makeover is to invest now to make that happen. Because if you start investing now, of course, once you get to this step, if you start investing at this stage, then you're going to grow. You're going to get better. Things are going to get better. And you'll be able to look back 10 years after you start that process and be like, oh, wow. Like, imagine saving $100 a month for 10 years. That's a lot of money. $100 a month times 12 is $1,200 a year. Times 10 is $12,000. So, I mean, they don't sound like a lot, but imagine if you do more than that and you go longer than that. Now, the growth stock mutual funds are recommended to invest in for long term, leaving the money leaving the money longer than 5 years. You always start where you have a match. Next, fund Roth IRAs. The Roth grows tax free. They say to fund Roth IRAs because it grows without having any taxes accrued on it and different things like that. Now, it is never too late to start. That's like with anything in life. It's never too late to begin. Like, if you decide to begin today or tomorrow, or you're going through something right now, like me, I'm just going to be, whenever I actually get around to this step, because I'm taking all of this in and I'm taking my notes. So then once I start going through these steps, then I'm able to actually commit to the process and I'm actually able to make it happen and different things like that. Next, let yourself know that you're going to win. You always have to remind yourself of the bigger picture, the why as to why you're doing this, the reason as to why you're committing to the things that you're committing to, because you're going to have those days where you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, like, why am I doing this to myself? But you just have to keep the bigger picture in mind and know that sometimes it's going to be like a breeze, like a piece of cake, a walk in the park, super easy. Sometimes it's not always going to be a breeze. Sometimes it's going to be hard as heck. And you're going to be like, man, what in the world? It's just going to seem like it's so much. But you just have to remind yourself that you're going to win. You have to remind yourself that the things that you're doing are for a reason and for the benefit of you and your family. Now, the takeaway that I got from this chapter is that you got to remember that everything big was once small and continued to grow. You have to look at whatever stage you're at the same way and start where you are, begin where you're at, stay focused, consistent, and committed, and watch how everything transforms right before your eyes. Now, chapter 10, the points I got: education is for knowledge, which is only part of the formula to success. The next one, college isn't a need, it is a want. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be telling your kids to go to college. It does not mean that. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be encouraging people to go to college. It means that you should really be taking time to educate them on the things that they truly want to do. If they truly want to do something in a profession where they will have to go to college, encourage them to go to college, but encourage them to go to college for the right reason, for the education and the knowledge that they will get, not for the partying, not for the turning up, not for all of that extra stuff, just for the education. So that way they can make themselves knowledgeable. Knowledge, perseverance, integrity, and character will carry you a lot further than a piece of paper with a particular school's logo on it. Next point, to be financially successful, you have to quit caring about what other people think. So that basically goes back to what they've said in later chapters. You can't worry about what the outside people are thinking. You can't worry about how somebody else may feel about anything, because it's you and your life, and you have to take charge of your life and the things that you want to do in your life. Next point, do some research on the cost of attending college. The first rule is to pay cash as much as you can, as much as possible. Pay cash for the education. The second rule is if you have the cash or the scholarship, then go to school. This is just basically to try to take away from student loans, because I'm pretty sure at some point in our life, we've all had student loans, whether you got a degree or you haven't got a degree. Me, I got student loans and I ain't even got a degree. So I went to school, I quit school, I went to school, I quit school. I'm very educated, but I just never got a degree. And now I got all these student loans that I'm going to have to put into my debt portfolio so that I could grow um, so that I could grow my finances and I could get rid of that debt and get it handled. But try to encourage your kids to not get loans. Try to educate them on the different ways to apply for scholarships, apply for grants, apply themselves, and try to do your best that you can to be able to save as much as possible to be able to help them with a little egg to be able to go to college, to a college of their choice, and different things like that. Next point, student loans are cancer. Basically, what I talked about, because student loans are going to be there forever. They're not like something that just fall off your credit score in 5 to 7 years. They are going to be there, accruing interest. And let me tell you, whenever those people call, if you are not following up with it, it will drop your credit score. At one point in time, they were calling me all of the time, like all of the time. And I was just like, whatever, ignoring their calls, ignoring their calls, until I looked at my credit score and it had dropped 100 points. And I was like, holy smacks. Let me call these people real quick so that I can see exactly how to get this going back in the right track. So ever since then, I've been making sure that I stay on top of it. I tell everyone to stay on top of it. Even if you can't make payments right now, they do have things where you're able to work out like forbearance and different stuff like that. But you will still incur interest and stuff like that. But that's something that doesn't go away until you pay it off, basically, unless you have like one of those jobs in the healthcare field or whatever where they forgive those loans or they pay them for you or wipe them away and stuff. Now, baby step 5 is to save for college. And you could do this by funding with an ESA, which is an educational savings account, which grows tax free when it is used for higher education. And it is the most flexible and you have the most control. So basically, this is the starting point, which I didn't know this. I didn't know this. And this is something I'm going to have to look into for my kids. So that way I can start looking into that and working on that. So to start putting towards their education and everything, even if they choose not to use it to further their education and stuff, but just being able to have something to save for the event that they do want to go to college. Like I know for sure my oldest daughter, she wants to be a surgeon. And I know that is not going to be cheap at all. I know that is not going to be cheap. Next, if you want to do more than an ESA, you can look at a 529 plan. And one of the problems is that you must give up an element of control. The best 529 plans available is a flexible plan, which allows you to move your investment around periodically. Now, the takeaway that I got from this chapter is that you got to talk with your kids about college and let them know they should go for the education. And if they're wanting to go, help them find ways to pay for college and already be saving towards their education in the event they want to go in order to help them pay and avoid getting student loans. because the goal is for them not to follow in our footsteps of getting so many student loans or having this debt incurred upon them. Like, the goal is to educate them on being able to set themselves up for success. So they're not having to look back and be like, oh man, well, how do I fix this mess that I've jumbled up, or this mess that I've made, and different things like that. And that's all. That's all. I got through chapter. Nope, that's not it. I got chapter 11. I was like, I know it seems, I know I had something else. Okay. So chapter 11 is baby step 6, which is pay off your home mortgage. Now, even though I don't currently have a home mortgage, like I don't even own a home. I'm still in the renting phase right now. But the goal is to get to owning a home. So I still took time to read this because somebody else that's listening, you might own a home. You might own a home, and this might be able to help you. And it also helps educate me on what and what not to do whenever I go through the home buying process. Now, one of the points is that every dollar in your budget that you can find outside of what you already have allocated in their designated places should be used to make extra payments on your home, because you want to try to get that debt down as soon as possible. You want to try to get rid of that debt as soon as possible. And this is like baby step 6. So by this time, you've already went through the process of setting up your emergency fund. You started saving on the kids' education if you have kids. You tackled your debt. And you've got all of your debt out of the way except for this mortgage. Now, the next step is, if you must take out a mortgage, only get a 15-year one, which is you should only get a 15-year fixed rate loan and never have your payments over 25% of your take home pay. And the takeaway that I got from this chapter is that the goal is to be able to pay cash for a home so that you don't incur any more debt. But if you have a mortgage, once you get to this step, you should focus on paying it off completely. So that's basically what this step is all about, being 100% out of debt. Because basically, if you followed all the steps up until this point, once you actually start this total money makeover, if you followed all the steps up until this point and you have this mortgage, once you take care of that mortgage and that mortgage is out the way, then you're like 100% debt free, like completely. So you're good, and you can begin doing everything else that you want to do and all of that amazing stuff. Something that they said within the chapter was, what did they say? That the grass is greener and feels better once the mortgage is paid off, or something like that. If you've been reading the book, then you know what I'm talking about. Or if you've read the book, then you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're almost done with this book. We only have chapters 12 and 13 to tackle, and we're going to tackle those this week. And then we will be on to another book. If you have any suggestions of any books that you would like to read, cool, let me know. Other than that, then I'll probably go on to one of Coach Stormy's books, because I've been following along with Coach Stormy and she's super amazing. But right now, we're going to continue on the Total Money Makeover. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. I am Moett everywhere. IamMoett. Mark your calendars for April the 3rd at 2 p.m. I will be back going live on Highly Unique Radio each and every Sunday. And of course, I'm still going to be here with you guys each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. discussing whatever we have read for the week. All right. That's really all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're reading chapters 12 to 13 next week. And you guys have a wonderful and amazing evening. All right. Remember that life is too short to be anything but motivated. Now get out there and turn your dreams into a vision and make that your reality. All right. I love you guys. Peace.